Did you know that AV input early on usually equals better ideas, less redos, and quite frankly, a smoother RFP process overall? Well, let's get into it.
Welcome to the Event Pro Show, your ultimate guide to the world of corporate events. Whether you're a corporate event planner, experiential marketing pro, producer, technician, or anyone involved in creating exceptional events, this podcast is your go-to resource for valuable insights, expert tips, and inspiring stories from the industry's leading professionals.
Well, welcome to the Event Pro Show. I am your host, Seth Macchi. I'm the CEO of LEMG. We're an event production company based in Charlotte, North Carolina. We travel all over the country working with planners to produce corporate events. That's almost solely what we focus on. And welcome to part one of our 5-part series called the AV Advantage, elevating your events from idea to execution. So the goal of this 5-part series is that each episode walks the planner through a key stage in AV-related event planning. So from early ideas to flawless show day delivery. And we want to have a focus on helping planners look sharp while saving money and reducing surprises. So sounds like kind of everybody's dream here. So in this first episode, we're going to talk about designing it right and collaborating early for smarter AV. I'm going to walk you through what I mean by that. So the whole point of this episode is talking about involving AV early in the creative process. AV input early on helps with creative ideas, fewer redos, a smoother RFP process. And I like to envision it kind of like this. Imagine an assembly line, and there's this belt that moves along. And at the beginning of the belt, you start with all the basic components of the thing that you're making, the widget you're making. At the very beginning of the conveyor belt, any issues that come up, design flaws, logic flaws that are discovered, it's way cheaper to fix them at the front of the assembly line. Now, as you move down the assembly line, you get closer to final production where you're going to take that widget off and give it to the end user. Everything that's discovered that's an issue or a design issue, a logic issue, a use issue becomes more and more expensive to fix. And so the earlier you can involve and discover issues on that assembly line, the cheaper it is, quite frankly, for you to fix that problem and then create what you were really trying to create to begin with. So, in that analogy, in that example, let's think of an event. You have this idea, or you've been mandated by who you work for to create an event. And you are told some basic things. You're told kind of, who the event is for, a rough idea of how many attendees are going to be there, and what you're trying to accomplish. And now you have all that basic information, but what if the way that you were taught to plan events is knock out the first things? Let's talk about geography, events, and then we'll work our way through. Get some food going, get hotel rooms going. We'll talk about what table setups look like, what signage look like, and then at the very end, we're going to bring in some AV. That's wonderful if you have really basic requirements. But most people are trying to create an event that is enhanced and engaging, and as media has developed over the last several decades, there's a certain expectation that attendees have when they come to an event. So developing the AV plan has become more and more complex. So involving your AV provider early on is becoming not just something that's nice to have, but it's something that's imperative if you're really going to control that budget and control the outcome. And so some tips for starting creative conversation with your AV partner. I've talked about this on this show. Finding those partners well before you need them. And so you should be developing relationships with partners that you think you might bring in at some point. And so you have some sort of a relationship. If you have that developed already and you trust them, you can bring them in before you even create the RFP, because it's no longer a question of, I think, are they going to rip me off? Are they the right partner for me? No, you trust them, and you have these partners that you use so they can speak into the creation process of the RFP instead of you as a planner who might not be an AV expert. So really thinking about it logically, it would make more sense to bring in somebody you trust to help. Can you outline the scope of what I'm going to need for AV from an actual AV partner? So that's the first part of that. The next is, well, if you don't know exactly who you're going to use, then you might be going out there and getting quotes from different providers. Well, let's talk through what to expect. You can put together your RFP, and I have an episode on building an RFP. But essentially, you need to understand your minimum requirements when you're creating that RFP. And so when you document that, you can send that out, and then expect an initial conversation from a potential production partner. I want to walk you through that really quick of questions you might get so you can kind of prepare those questions ahead of time and get ahead of it. But essentially, the key questions that you're going to be asked on this initial discovery call, first of all, what type of event is it? Is this a single room event? Is in this single room, is this just a luncheon? Is it an award show? Is it an all-day event where you have different segments? Is it a multi-venue or multi-room event? Is there a general session with different sessions throughout the day where the attendees then go to breakouts throughout the day? Do they go to like an award dinner at night in another room, another facility, going to different restaurants in the evening? Is it multi-day? And who's attending? Who is the audience? And more specifically, is this like your C-suite in attendance, and are you trying to elevate so that they feel that they're getting the value they need for that event? Is it just an internal meeting where it's more important just to communicate ideas and it's not as important to impress people? Is it out-facing? Is this a sales meeting where you're bringing in users from the end client? And maybe they're a software developer and all of their users come into one place, and it's a big selling tool for them. So they're bringing in people that are users or people that are curious about their product, and they're bringing them in. You want to have a different AV approach to that. You want to be able to wow people in that situation. So understanding who's attending. You really need to know where and when this is taking place. And if you don't know that, excellent. Bring in your AV provider to advise on that question. Maybe you have several venues that you can't decide on. Well, ask your AV provider which one is easier, and not just easier, which one is more economical to do, because they will be able to look in and see what restrictions there are there. And then you can even get more detailed about that room itself. Who's in there before, who's in there after, what are our timelines? How long do we have that space? If you know that, go ahead and let your AV provider know, because that drives the requirement of labor on site. And what is the audience? And like, what type of audience is this? And in this day and age, every event you're asking, is this in-person, virtual, or a mix? That the term hybrid, streaming is almost always a component these days, or an expectation, but to what degree? And maybe it's not something you want to do, but maybe you do need to record it for use afterward, knowing that what is your audience, and how are they attending this event? Are they in person? Are they not there? Are they going to be, is this an evergreen product you're creating that's going to go up on a website? So is this a recorded type of a thing? Have you worked with AV vendors before? The reason I like this question on the discovery call is it's not a question about your experience. My next follow-up would be, if you've worked with AV vendors before, what have been challenges? So be prepared to offer, when I worked with another production company here, this is what I really loved, or this is what I didn't like at all. And so if we could avoid that, that's super helpful to understand your pain points from an AV perspective. And then what's worked well in the past? What hasn't? What are deployments of AV that, if you have a portfolio of events that you manage and you have a history, go ahead and share that. That's great. If you have pictures of this event from previous years, go ahead and share that. And then a big one that's, I don't know, some people it's a really sensitive subject. Some people it's not. but do you have a fixed budget, or are you still building that out? Budget parameters from this to this. Or you could also say, for your minimum viable AV solution, what is the money that you have to spend? And we'll design something for that. And then we can talk about enhancements, add-ons, all that good stuff. And you can take back to your leadership after that. But let's solve your first problem, and then we can talk about enhancements and all of that good stuff. These are the type of things that an AV provider can start helping you work through. And if you're new to event planning, your AV provider should be able to give you questions like this in the context of how you can prepare to talk to your AV provider. What do you need to have available to them so that they can work quickly, and then you guys can get to the fun stuff of just creating the thing, creating the look. I hope part 1 was helpful to you. Be on the lookout for part 2, where we are going to be talking more about how you can do more with your budgets. I know that budget is such a big topic, so we're working through how we can help you do more with sometimes less. And as an AV partner, any of your service partners should really be trying to help you do more with your budget to help you succeed. And that's really our goal at LEMG. If you need AV help, go to lemg.live. We'd love to help you. You can always check out our backlog of episodes on the Event Pro Show at theeventproshow.com. Be sure to check out our wonderful guests that we have. And we look forward to talking to you next time. Thank you for spending time with us, and I hope you have a great day. The Event Pro Show is a production of LEMG. Video by Nick Barrett. Audio and post-production by Prince Thompson. You can learn more about us at lemg.live.